All right, welcome everybody to Solomon's Crown. Today we are going to be covering the topic of Big Sean and how he dealt with his mental health issues, and also giving some positive feedback, some experiences that we've experienced with essentially whenever you're grinding towards whatever you want to get to in life, whether it be your job, whether it be your goals. You need to find a perfect balance, and
Yes, sir.
depression can come into play, anxiety. Also, we'll talk about lack of sleep and how that can affect you. And then towards the end, we'll give a little bit about positive feedback on things that you can do to mitigate the trials and tribulations of trying to be successful or reaching your final goals. So a little background on Big Sean. Big Sean, American rapper. You know him, you don't. He dated Jhene Aiko for a little bit. I think after they split, he dealt with some anxiety and depression with the getting out of a relationship, as most people do. Excuse me. But it's one of those things that he started looking into his mental health and realizing that it was a problem. I think a big thing about men's health is it's never really discussed. Men, you can see on TikTok where a lot of guys are posting now that, I have problems, this and that, like, what should I do about it? And then people are like, oh, I'm a man. Like, what do you mean I don't have problems? Like,
you can talk about that?
Yeah, exactly. I saw a really sad video, not like sad like that, but it was a bunch of men. They stringed along a clip where it was just like, who do you call whenever you're at your lowest, whenever you need to talk to somebody about mental health issues or just issues in general. And they were like, what? We can do that? Like, people want to hear it. And a lot of dudes were just like, people don't want to hear about men's problems. Like, men are supposed to be these perfect beings when it comes to mental health and getting the job done as far as like career goals, educational goals, whatever you're doing in life, and you're just supposed to suck it up and keep pushing forward.
And so, I'll even tell you, just to piggyback off of that, like a real life example. I remember, like, I was in the military. When I was in the military, I just got married. Like, I was put into like the tool room, pretty much. For those guys who don't know, like, you're in charge of tools and giving out tools on the flight line, because I was working on the aircraft, and it was a brand new job, and marriage and all this stuff, and I was going through it, and I went to mental health to kind of like talk to somebody, because that's what they encourage, and like that they pretty much said like, yo, you just gotta suck it up, like no cap. So
I mean, it'd be like
real.
that. Yeah. And I think that we can attest to this the most. The military is ranked like top 5 in most stressful jobs. I think it's number 2 or 3, because you got firefighters, police officers, first responders, things like that. But the military isn't necessarily the problem. It can be based off of what your job is. And we, as aircraft mechanics, we deal with a lot of high stress situations. Not only in just the job, but things that go into just accountability, taking full responsibility for your troops. And for those who don't know, your troops are pretty much like anybody, your subordinates, anybody you supervise, anybody on your shift, if you're a shift lead. I was a shift lead. I've been shift lead multiple times in my career. Once when I was in tool crib, and now, I mean, I just took on 5 new guys at my job.
Oh my God,
and they got rid of like my partner in crime, essentially, the only other experienced guy. So whenever they dropped him and sent him back to another job, I was the sole provider for training these guys. And truthfully, I didn't get sleep. I was working around the clock pretty much 24/7, because It'd be 3 o'clock in the morning and something would go down and somebody would be like, hey man, you got a minute to talk real quick. And I'd be like, yeah, you already know I'm up. I'm out here playing Apex. So yeah, that's another thing that we could talk about as far as not getting sleep. Don't play Apex. Like don't grind rank. But that was like a big commitment in my life, and being up constantly and not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, which we'll talk about later, because truthfully you need to be getting sleep, because the lack of sleep, and we'll just go into it now, the lack of sleep, we did a little bit of research, it can lead to memory issues, mood changes, weakened immune system, high blood pressure, of course trouble concentrating, thinking. We've all been, for those who have been in college, you know how it is when you got a final exam or you got to study or anything like that, like, and you're trying to study and do all this stuff off of 3 hours of sleep because you missed a deadline or just getting close. You're prone to more accidents. So, I mean, most people, like, I remember back in Little Rock, we had a dude, we were working like 13, 14-hour shifts for like 3 weeks straight. And one of our guys actually drove a car into a church because he fell asleep. Granted, he was okay, but it was just like the lack of sleep finally hit him. And I mean, he essentially just fell asleep and woke up in the church. And I mean, we gave him shit about it, but it was like a real life situation. I mean, truthfully, it kind of turned out better because he had a hoopty and we were just like, yo, finally. So he ended up getting a brand new car and everything out of it. But also the risk of diabetes, that's a big thing, especially with everybody be eating at home cooked meals and home cooked food from grandma, aunts, uncles, things like that.
And the fast food too.
Yeah, fast food life. That's another thing that another story I had is like I started working my new job. It was an office job, far different from the flight line. And I show up to work. I had a donut. I had a pack of donuts. I had torpedoes. For those who don't know, it's like a pizza roll type deal.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, like
military guys know what we're talking about though.
Exactly. And then I had a rock star and
breakfast of champions.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do that, guys.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
My man was like, because we have like this guy in our shop who's he's like really healthy. He stays to like a strict diet. He's a cyclist and everything like that. But he was like, yo, man, what are you doing? And I was like, what you mean, breakfast of champions? Like, I'm ready to get my day started. He was like, bro, like, that's so bad. He was like, yo, where's the nutrition at? And that was like when I really started thinking about like my eating habits and what I had been doing and everything like that. And that was like, it was a life-changing moment for me, because I wasn't having enough energy to get through the day. I mean, I'd literally be like tired by like 1:30, wake up at 6, 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4, depending on what I had to do with my dog and everything. And then like 11 o'clock, I'm just dead. I'm just like, I can't think straight. I can't function, things like that. So once I changed my eating habits, started eating more greens, started eating more good proteins and good carbs, like it really changed my life around. Another thing for the men, low sex drive, like lack of sleep, bro, like it's going to be there. You also run the risk of heart disease, which is another thing, because if you're not eating right, the heart is the most important part of your body next to the brain. So, I mean, if you're pushing both of those to the limit with lack of sleep, then that's one thing that can really halt your progression and halt your progress through life. The last couple things is weight gain for sure. Like if you're just not getting sleep, like your body's you're probably eating bad and you're going to gain weight. And then poor balance, like not having a healthy eating routine and sleep habits can also mess with your body in general, as far as like physical activities and finding your perfect balance. But the research has shown that 65% of people don't get enough sleep. And the recommended hours of sleep is 7 to 9 hours.
You're not getting
and anybody can attest to that. I mean, in this day and age now, you're going to have to work. But the thing about that is time management is a big thing when it comes to that. I mean, even if you're getting only 7 hours of sleep, I mean, I know we hear a lot of successful people talk about like, oh, I only sleep like 5-6 hours a day, but they're a rare breed. I mean, essentially the top 1% do things like this, and they're definitely a different breed. Not everybody can do that. I was actually having a conversation with the lady at the coffee shop the other day because I went to go get coffee at like 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, yeah, let me get a triple shot of espresso in my coffee and everything like that. And she's like, oh, like it's kind of late to be drinking this much coffee. And I was like, oh, I'm night shift. And we just went into a whole conversation about like some people actually work better on night shift, but that doesn't.
That's me.
Yeah, same. That doesn't change the fact that you still need to be getting 7 to 9 hours worth of sleep. I mean, if you don't have a choice on which shift you're working, the most important part is getting sleep. And it can be a lot harder on night shift because most of the time you're going to sleep when the sun is up. So getting blackout curtains and eliminating the most amount of light in your room can definitely be a huge factor for that. But I mean, Pop, you've dealt with a lot of sleep deprivation.
It doesn't end, man. So like when it comes into the night shift thing, like in my military career, which was like 7 years roughly, like I was on night shift for like maybe 6 of those years. Man, I remember days when I would drive home from base, and I lived like 20 minutes from my house off base, and I would like literally doze off. Off. There was actually someone who crashed. I think he crashed in the side of Perimeter Road. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because there's lack of sleep, and it's like even now as a civilian, because obviously we're on this YouTube channel, got a full-time job. I teach on the side. Like
he's
I really
also Jamaican, so he's got.
Yeah, I don't understand Jamaican stereotype until now.
It's like, yo, working like a Jamaican, bro. They used to have that on
living proof. Like I'm doing so much, it's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I do suffer from sleep deprivation. Like honestly, usually when I go to work, I have to get an energy drink, which is already bad for me.
Facts.
And then pretty much like I'll eat breakfast, and then my first break I'll probably eat something again, and then for my lunch it's like 45 minutes I sleep in my car. That's the only way I can survive.
Yeah.
And then I would go to the gym after work, and then come home, and then deal with family, and then like either I'm editing, I'm researching, because I'm transitioning from maintenance into IT, so I'm doing that too. So I'm like getting my skills up. So it's a grind, and not to go too much on a tangent, but that's what I talk about. Me will talk about, like especially for young men, like get on your purpose from early when you don't have these responsibilities, so you're not killing yourself. Because honestly, we're grinding for a better
tomorrow,
say. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword where we don't burn ourselves out, because it's not sustainable. That's why when you don't have responsibilities, you stay on your purpose, you get your stuff together, so you don't have to work as hard. But go ahead, Will.
No, because I mean, we both got kids and everything like that, but like really what we're doing this for is for our kids, so that they don't have to live the same life that we had to live. And I mean, we can attest to that. Our parents did the same thing to make sure that we didn't have to work as hard as they are. But like, it's kind of like our generation, like everything that's unfolding, like the world, like in 10 years, like the last 10 to 15 years has become drastically different from like when our parents were alive, or our parents were living and coming up, and even our grandparents. Because I mean, I remember it was like eighth or seventh grade, like the cell phone had just like started coming out. Like flip phones, Nokia phones, brick, bruh. And look at us now, like we got iPhone 13, Samsung phones, we got flip phones,
like phones that have like SLR quality, like cameras and everything, editing movies. And
then on top of that, I mean, we harp on social media, but social media has drastically changed the way that we gather information, how much information is actually out there. We've seen it. I mean, we used to play Magic the Gathering, and they talked about how back in like when it started, like 1999 or something like that, like nobody knew about deck lists essentially because there was no internet. And now you have like 10 to 15 sites that'll tell you every single deck list that is in the world, like not
playthroughs,
just,
tiers, strategies, everything. It's like, it's with everything, it's like that. I'm gonna be honest, like even now, and guys, not to go on a tangent again, but we're going to go into it. I want to talk about IT and stuff and like the career that I'm trying to transition in. But it's like even now I'm looking on YouTube and it's like the resources, man. Like I'm learning about like vulnerability scanning and like ethical hacking and all that stuff, because that's kind of like the way I want to go. And it's like, man, I'm telling you, it's the internet's, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Shout out to those Indian dudes on YouTube that be like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like how to program, like how to finish my project. I got 2 hours left. Like, yo, if you need to do coding or anything like that, like YouTube. I mean, that's the thing too. Is like YouTube has become a major source of educational content. And it goes on for days. Like we talk about lack of sleep and everything like that. Like Pop said, like I'm mildly running my gaming channel. I mean, I try to get on it as much as I can, but like this podcast, investing a lot of time into this, editing when we need to, networking, and then also I'm going to be starting another channel, which is going to be my shameless plug right now. But I'm going to be starting a tech channel, and it's so much stuff that you can do now. And sometimes I feel like I'm stretching myself too thin, and that there's not enough time in the day. And truthfully, there's really not enough time in the day to do all the things that you want to do. And that's why you have to find the perfect balance. So with that being said, I mean, we could talk about a couple things that Big Sean talked about. He had an interview with his mom and everything like that. And I mean, you've seen it from most successful people. If you haven't, you're going to be seeing it here for the first time. But the 4 things that, or 3 things, is notepad. So a notepad for taking notes, a vision board so that you can see what you're trying to accomplish, and then a gratitude journal, kind of just like, what are you grateful for? Like, why are you doing the things you do? You hear it if you haven't heard it, but most successful people always talk about, you have to find your why. Why are you doing this? Whenever you're at your lowest point, when nobody is there for you, when you're dealing with anxiety, depression, things like that, like you have to find a why. And even if that why is just going to the gym or writing a book or like whatever it ends up being, that has to be what grounds you in this life. So as far as the notepad goes, we'll just go down it one by one. But the notepad, I actually keep a notepad for the most part. I don't think it's here. Well, I keep multiple notepads, so I got like little, you're not gonna be able to see it, but I got multiple notepads in my butt, and then I usually carry one in my backpack, which, another shameless plug, I'm gonna be doing a tech backpack. That's a little sneak peek into like what your boy is working on. But I think writing down like what you're thinking, problems that you had, maybe even once a day at the end of the day, just writing down like, okay, I didn't accomplish this, but I need to accomplish this by the end of the week. Setting deadlines for sure is a big thing. And then just kind of having a game plan. I mean, even every single job you start off with, they usually have like a video that shows you, this is what you're going to be doing, this is how the job should be done. In our career field, we had job guides that literally walked us through every single job that could be done on aircraft. And pamphlets and guides are kind of just like a thing that is needed. So you're trying to maneuver through the unknown in the world, so you kind of need like guidelines. You need to write down things that have failed so that you can always look back on them and really accomplish things, and not just be like, oh, I'll put it off till tomorrow, because once you start losing sleep, you start losing focus, you start forgetting things, and we can attest to all these things. But I mean, what do you do as far as like getting yourself together, as far as like how you flow through your day or like your week and getting everything done that needs to be done?
Damn, it's like, honestly, I can't do notes. Like, I'm just like a hyper visual person, and I guess visualize it in my head. Like I constantly repeat it, like, this is what I want to do, this week. This is what I want to get done this week. This is what I want to get done this month. This is what I want to get done in 6 months. This is what I want to get done in a year. And I keep a mental note of it. And if I'm going towards like a certain activity, and I see like I get information from someone else or from something else, and maybe this is a better path that I should take, then I research it and I'm like, okay, I can get this done in X amount of time reasonably. Let me start this process again. So it's just a continuous process of me just visualizing in my head, like working towards it little by little. And just to kind of go off on what you were saying with trying to not stretch yourself too thin. I think a lot of stress management comes from understanding that, I guess, as we get older, we are afraid of time wasted because now we really appreciate how much time is worth. But you just take it a step at a time. You take it a step at a time, because you look at like Bitcoin, you look at stocks, you look at learning a language. All those things start from, I don't know, learning what Apple means in this language, or it starts from you having 10 stocks in this particular company, and you keep on adding little bit by little. And by the time 5 years goes around, 10 years goes around, and it's like, oh damn, like look at what I built.
Yeah.
Look at the skills that I learned. Look at where I am now. So it just, I think, especially for us older guys, and it goes for younger guys too, but for us older guys who are kind of like, I guess for lack of a better word, playing catch up.
Yeah.
It's just taking our time, making sure we're doing things accurately and doing it properly, or not necessarily properly, but doing it with emphasis on getting this done. But we can also like understand that we take our time, so that we'll get there eventually. It's a rush, but not too much of a rush, I guess.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And that thing, I mean, with what you said, like a vision board might be actually better for you. Or some people, because like I kind of need to write down stuff, and having a vision board is okay, but I kind of already know what I want to get to. But these are even things that like a lot of successful people do, even though it may not seem like it can work for you. But I think the vision board for sure. I had a vision board for the longest, and truthfully, I put a bunch of pictures of things I wanted. Like I remember I put the super on there. I put the my promotion and everything like that, and I achieved all those things. And one day I just found it, and I was like, oh, I really did everything that I wanted to do on this. It took about 10 years, but I mean, that's the part of it, is like time is valuable, but it's going to take time to get to the bigger goal.
Yeah, for sure. Everything takes time, man.
Yeah. And then the gratitude journal, I mean, just being thankful for things that you have in your life. I mean, a lot of people, like when they say like, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, like they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, so now everything that they look at is in a negative light. But I remember somebody once said like, yo, if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, get back in bed and wake up on the right side. So that's one of those things that you have to be grateful for, the things that are in your life. I mean, you're not going to have everything that you want, but of course, waking up, that's always something to be grateful for. And just the little things in life, like, do you have food? Do you have a house? Do you have like somebody who loves you? Do you have somebody who cares about you? Do you have your mother in your life? Do you have your father in your life? Your sister, whatever it is, that you can wake up and be like, yo, I am grateful for this, and kind of just use that as the continual motivation to help you keep getting to where you need to get to.
Yeah, those things keep you grounded for real.
Yeah.
I mean, even a good friend, or I don't know, a dog, a pet, something like, I think I had one troop that really smart, or not a troop, he was in my troop, but he was in a shop next to mine. And for some reason he confided in me. He's like saying that, like, sometimes I feel like life isn't worth it, like, what should I do? And it's like, at that time I just thought that, people just need to have an anchor. I think that's what people need. That's why I feel people crave relationships, no matter how introverted you are, how much of an island I think you need people, you need some sort of connection, whether it's a pet or an object or a goal. Usually people though,
Yeah.
but you just gotta have that as an anchor. It goes back to what you're saying, like, you're having a why. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I in the military? Why am I working towards this? Why am I, exercising? Why am I learning this language? You know what I mean? So we just need an anchor, and we need to understand why the anchor is and what the end goal is, and then we'll be fine.
And the thing is like sometimes things like that can change. Like, I mean, I look at myself at like 18, 19. I had a lot of other ambitions and goals than I do at 32 now. So it's not a bad thing to just wake up one day and be like, hey, I don't want this anymore. Like, this isn't what I desire in my life, and just change it. Because I think the best thing that COVID did for us is kind of helped us realize like that life is precious, that life is short, and that we have a lot to lose for the most part, because we lost a year, some of us a year and a half. I mean, some people are still losing because there's a lot of countries that are still locked down, and they're not experiencing life how they want to experience life. So just you have to be grateful for the things that you have and realize that somebody out there is always going to care for you and be there for you no matter what. So biggest thing is to always reach out. I mean, me and Pop, we were doing our solo channels for the longest with gaming and everything. And then it kind of came into like, yo, why are we like all the stuff that we talk about in group chats and things like that, like we could put this out into the world because we're not the only ones trying to talk about it. And that's kind of just how we came up with the whole podcast idea. And then as we started doing the podcast, the more we started doing it, the more we started to expand our minds on what we wanted from this. And at first it was just like fun and this and that. But then it turned into like, why are we not helping people? Because the biggest thing is, it's like, yeah, we can give content all day, but if it doesn't help somebody, then I personally don't feel like it's of value. Like, but that's the thing is like, what we do now is based on like experiences that we have gone through, and there's a lot of people out there who don't have people to talk to about these things, and that's really what we're here for, is just like to let people know that they're not the only ones going through the same things. Like everybody's going through life problems, but even with all the things that we have going on in our lives and setbacks and things like that, we still push forward and still continue to create content for our viewers and future viewers. So we really do appreciate everything that everybody has given to us. Because
really appreciate
this channel. I mean, we're getting views, we're getting the routine down and everything like that. I'm getting a lot of feedback as always, and I appreciate everybody who's giving us feedback. One little bit of feedback is like, yo, Pop needs to wake up more. But like we said, is Pop is
like
I mean,
asleep.
He's always like, what is like 11 o'clock in Japan right now?
Yeah, it's like 10:18 right now.
Exactly.
As we're recording, so.
And you gotta be up at what, 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, I gotta be up at 4. So it's an everyday grind. So I know, I'm like low energy, but yeah, I'll get there. So you guys, like when we get there and start getting monetized, and we can kind of ease up a little bit, to look back on this and laugh. So just bear with me for a bit.
Well, I mean, we're doing everything ourselves at this point. Once, I think probably in about a year, we'll probably have somebody start editing, and then we'll schedule more times. And but the thing is, like, everything initially that you want to start is going to be solely based on you until you can grind to a level where you can kind of just relax and put everything on autopilot. So, I mean, we'll have more content coming in the years to come, as I say.
For sure.
We're going in a lot of different directions as far as like the information that we're going to be bringing in. A buddy of mine just hit me up and said that there's another guy that we used to work with who does his channel, and I think he talks about financial stability and being in the military and like things that you can do. I'll have to look more into it, but I mean, we potentially have a lot of people that can come onto the show and just kind of give their feedback, because we don't want to necessarily, we're not the system experts and everything, but we do want to bring somebody on who can talk about their struggles and see a different picture and see what they're doing. And a lot of successful people. I mean, we had Nico on the show, and he gave us a lot of information that maybe a lot of people didn't know. So if you guys haven't seen that video yet, check that out. It was a good talk. It was a good talk, but mostly Nico talking and us listening, and mostly for the viewers, for sure. So I think that is about it that we can cover on this topic. I mean, Big Sean was a big inspiration for me to start looking into that, because I mean, as we know, like, most of these people are influential in the community, and I've seen Big Sean grow from like the smallest to the smallest. And if you listen to his music, he'll talk about his past traumas and past issues, and I think that's a big thing. I mean, Kid Cudi's another person who like, he revolutionized like the whole men's feelings and men talking about your feelings. And
yeah, for sure, he was going through it for a while too.
Yeah,
for a while he was going through it.
Yeah, and I saw him post on the other day, like I think it was like a month or so ago, where he's like, I'm finally happy with my life. And I think Kid Cudi's like 37 or something like that. So it's like,
oh wow,
it took him that long to get to that point. So it's a never-ending grind. But before we talk y'all to death, it's your boy Willie Main, and we got Pop here. And that's it for us. So tune in next time, like, subscribe, and as always, share the content to somebody you may think that may enjoy it. Peace.
All right, peace.